All right. Hey, everybody. It's T here from To the T. I have Amber Jones with me today, and I'm so excited. We have been missing each other on Facebook, on phone calls, on I feel like I just want to squeeze you right now and just kind of hold you
Okay,
and
he's back.
for a minute.
Yeah, we've been playing phone. I guess it's not phone tag, huh? I guess it's a social tag.
Social tag, I guess that's the new word, right? We created it.
There it is. We termed it.
I love it. I love it. Thank you so much for having me or being here with
That
me
was well.
today.
Thank you for having me. I
Um,
appreciate it.
yeah, no, for sure, for sure. And a little bit about what this podcast is I want to highlight women, and because I do feel, especially like I've been listening to your story, I'm seeing you
Mm,
on different podcasts, and I could relate to you, I could connect with you because I feel
mm,
like I was in the same position as you were, where it was like I had a job, and then, my husband came home, and then, it was almost like that Wolf of Wall Street. Like, is this how much you brought home? Like,
mm.
I'm quitting today. Like, like, and then I love that, like, you kind of found your passion. And,
Mm,
I feel like, especially like everybody wants to know their numbers, everybody wants to know about marketing, like everybody wants to know the big stuff. But
mm,
what I love about you is that, like, you're taking, like, hey, listen, after you send that message out,
mm,
text, voicemail, text or whatever, you know a lot of people are thinking, okay, we're done, we're going to just wait for the leads to start coming in, but you're like, hold
mm.
on, they didn't even connect with that. They didn't even
Yeah.
get your message,
Right.
I like the follow up on it, because I feel like that's where a lot of business owners drop the ball, because they're like, I sent the text out, but they're not
Mm,
checking on it. So
mm.
enough about me. I want to hear about you, your passion, and what drove you to what you're doing today.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So I'll try not to. Whew, where do I start? Okay. So all right, how did I get here today? So, my husband and I actually have a residential window cleaning company. That company was started out of necessity, because I did have a marketing background and I got sick. And like at the time, he was doing data entry, and he's like, "I need to do something more to provide for the family." And he showed it to me. He Keith Kalfas, you know what I mean? Like he's
Yeah,
big
yeah.
name. Yep. And
Medley,
so
Texas.
yep, yep. And so then I says, okay, well, let's do it. And so that was about 5.5 years ago.
Hmm.
And marketing has still always been my passion. I don't know if I'm a marketer or just a nerd. Like maybe a little bit of both.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, you found your niche because of this.
Yeah, yeah. So I knew from the beginning that, like, because of my own personal anxieties that I had when people of service companies came over, like
Yeah.
we rented our house. And
Hmm.
so anytime something went wrong, they would just hire someone off of Craigslist. And I literally would have anxiety attacks. And
Yeah.
so when I created when we started our company, I almost was obsessed about, like, we need to know who's coming to the house because I don't want someone to feel that way about me, like or my husband. And so I've always tried to, but between that and then just, between, health troubles and then kids and then trying to homeschool, I was like, okay, well, if it's just me and Kelvin, I have to make it lean. I got to
Exactly.
have my push button responses ready. Right.
Mhm.
And so everything that I share or create came from necessity, essentially, because it's always been me and Kelvin.
Yeah.
And there's a point where I had a VA and everything working for us, but
Hmm.
even before you get a VA, if you want someone to succeed, you have to have that process already in place. Like they can't,
Exactly.
no one's going to know your business better than you, right? And
Exactly.
so, if you want a good employee to succeed, you have to give them the proper tools. So,
Exactly.
um, that's kind of where the window cleaning side of it kind of started,
Mhm.
and how I got today. A lot of people are knowing me as the text message person, like. Like
Love it. I
they're
love
like,
it.
if you have problem with text messages, contact Amber, and that's just because of a bunch of new regulations and rules that are kicking in place. Like these rules have actually been around for a long time, to combat spam, and all these things have happened, um, for decades. Actually, the TCPA, these organizations have been around for decades, but the level of spam is
For
just
sure.
ridiculously out of control. And the FTC and all these regulators and all these entities, they're trying to get a hold of it. And
Yeah.
especially with text messages, right? Because I 100% close via text message. I don't pick up the phone if my kids are, I told myself, I'm like, I don't want my kids to think I'm picking my cell phone up over them.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
so I will text, right, in a heartbeat. And so it's a very valuable way to connect to your customers.
Hmm.
It's a very fast way to
Yeah.
connect to your customers, and you can build rapport. And if you know how to do text messages, right, you can even build that warm and fuzzy, right? Like kind
Yeah.
of thing, right?
Yeah. For sure. For sure.
And and so that's kind of like I fell into this because as these regulations were coming on, we noticed in our business that one of our customers had said, "Hey, your number's popping up as spam likely." And I'm like, "What?" Like I didn't even know it was a thing.
Yeah.
And it happened a couple of times, and I kind of looked over it, brushed it off because I didn't know what to do about it. But then I heard it more frequently, and then I started doing research and digging, and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, this is a thing." And there is a reason why this is happening, and it's happening more frequently and to more people. And yeah, so I just started digging down these paths, and I'm like, okay, well, what's the answer? So I'm getting on these webinars, doing, investing in these things, listening to like a TCPA attorney, like all the stuff. It's like this big
Yeah.
rabbit hole,
Yeah. Yeah.
essentially.
For sure. For sure. But somebody has to dig into this.
Somebody said, and that was
Somebody's
essentially,
trying to do
and
it.
that's my thing, because when I kept looking for the resources, everyone's going like the solutions for this stuff is made for enterprise level companies
Yeah.
that make on a minimum 20,000 phone calls a month. And I'm
Yeah.
like, "Well, what about the little guys?" And they're like,
Right.
"Oh, you can still do this, and you can just lock into this contract for like 3 grand a month and for 12 months." And I'm like, "Wait, whoa, whoa, whoa." Like we literally send like 200 texts a month. What are you talking about? Like
Yeah, for sure. Like that is ridiculous. And I think for like the home service industry, like we're just starting to dabble into this stuff. Like we're
Mhm.
putting this into our CRMs, and now we're like, oh, we'll just send them a message, or we'll just, do a drip campaign. This is all new to
Yeah.
us in the last
Yeah.
couple of years. So we're just thinking automatically it's just working on our end. Nobody's
Right.
going kind of any more further into that. And then
Right.
it's like, you found your calling, because if that one person never called, you would have never known. Just like the rest of us as
Exactly.
entrepreneurs, we're just thinking it went through, and
Yeah.
I feel like, that is how like you kind of found your aha moment.
Yeah.
For me, it was systems. Like when
Mm.
finally found, like when the aha moment for me was like, creating job descriptions and, creating systems, like you said, mentoring
Mhm.
the right person. Yeah, you can have a VA, but if you don't mentor them in the right way, what's the use for them?
Right.
You have to, as an entrepreneur, you want to make sure that you set up whoever works for you in your company,
Mhm.
you set them up for success, and they're a representation of you.
Right.
And so,
Right.
like, especially that awesome rabbit hole that you went down, that's our first like line of defensive contact for a lot of
Exactly.
people,
Yes.
and so like even if we don't even get that first contact, we already lost the game.
Right. Because
So
think about it, like as a business owner, what do they you get? You go, "Oh, I'm gonna do Facebook ads, Google ads, and yard signs and all these things." So companies are paying money or putting time and effort into generate, even if it's organic leads, right? You're
exactly.
investing to get that lead. Now, what happens if you go looking for a carpet cleaning company? You call the first one that's there, but if they don't answer, they're gonna make calls to 3 to 5 people, right?
Yeah,
And so by the time you call back, if you call back and your stuff is spam is popping up as like spam likely or something like that, 97% of the time they're gonna ignore it. And I don't even listen to voicemails. Like
exactly. I do the same. I look at my phone, spam, I don't even pick it up. I don't
Right.
even give them the time of day because I don't have that kind of time to be picking up every time the phone call.
Right.
The phone
Yeah.
starts ringing. I get it. It's
Yeah.
wild, and it's like, you know, it's almost like we're all farmers, right? And we all put
Mm.
the seed out there, but we're not nurturing it.
Mm.
And that's
Yeah.
like that's what we're doing with these texts. We're
Mhm.
putting it out there. We're just crossing our fingers and legs and hoping.
Yeah. Yeah, and hope it hits. Well, and up until recently, we didn't have to question whether our text messages went through, right? And there's a rule for phone calls and there's a rule for texting. And that's the other thing too, is like you could be marked as spam over here on your caller ID, but
Yeah.
you're texting. It's so much. And so like I'm trying to convey like just generate awareness to people and it's just like, hey, check on these things. And then the goal is just to give people a starting point, right? Like,
Oh.
hey, check on these things, check if the text messages are going through. And man, I lost my thought. I was on a roll. I just I lost my thought.
I
But
get
the
brain fog all the time. You're
brain,
good.
yeah.
You're good. No, but you're just saying that you got to check on what you're
Mhm,
sending out to your customers because like if they're not getting it,
mhm.
and also thinking about it, if we're calling ourselves, if we're calling our company, and we're calling our company phones or whatever, or the company phones are coming back to us, it's already programmed in our phone. So even
Right. Good point.
we wouldn't even know that either.
Good
So
point.
how do you suggest, let's say business owner sending out messages, sending out texts,
Mhm.
drip campaigns. What are your suggestions to, make
Mm.
sure that it's connecting with the customer?
Yeah. So I guess the first step is to know that this regulation does affect everyone. So the first question is, how do I know if it affects my business? Right. And so
Hmm.
if you are a company that is using just a cell phone and you're using it one by, then you're probably okay for now. All right. If you're just
Yeah.
using like a direct Verizon or T-Mobile in regards to text messaging, you're probably okay because you're person to person. You're sending out text messages one at a time via a cell phone.
Hmm.
Where you need to be concerned is if you have to log in to send an automated text message or bulk text message.
Hmm.
If it has that capability where you have to log in, you are no longer using this network, right? It's a separate pathway, right? And that's the A2P pathway, application to person pathway, right?
Got you. Love it. Love
And
it.
so that's what has to be registered. So the number one is knowing, is this something I need to worry about? And
Hmm.
so what I would recommend doing is like every business owner, do a brain dump of all of the ways that you send automated text messages or phone calls. Like and
Hmm.
write down each one of those software companies or what those companies. Then step number 2 is you wanna contact those companies and you wanna ask them something like this. Hi, I was just wanted to make sure, if I need to register so that way my text messages do not get blocked.
Okay.
Um, and, for the new because of the new regulation.
Hmm.
Say the word regulation because a lot of the service providers don't even know what's going on. Like, it has been it has been crazy.
Yeah.
And so that's thing number 1 is see if like, does this apply to me, right?
Hmm.
Do I use more than just a cell phone or more than just a landline?
Okay.
And if yes, let me contact their support. I just Google sometimes. You can go to Google and say like Grasshopper A2P10DLC
Okay.
and usually or register your text message and it'll pop. Usually they'll have something on it. If not, just call them. If you don't feel like doing the Google search, just call
Yeah,
them.
yeah, yeah. So you're saying check if you're using a VoIP system and you're not
Right.
using your cell phone. Now, what about like a do not call? Like what if you have
Mm-hmm.
customers that like, you worked for them before, you want to contact them, like that's kind of
Mm-hmm.
funny line to
Yeah.
kind of, how do you
Yes.
deal with that? So you
Okay.
have a customer, do not call. How do you deal with that one?
So actually, one of the other things that business owners are supposed to do, and you can actually look this up on dnc.com
Okay.
and TCPA. But essentially, and again, it's not common knowledge. Business owners are supposed to be scrubbing their list against the DNC, the federal DNC, every 31 days.
Oh,
This
okay.
is stuff I haven't even touched. T, you bringing stuff out of me I haven't even touched on yet. Like you jumping the gun. Like But this is good. This is good. Like,
Hey, I want to know because, listen, this is one thing about my podcast. I want women because, like I said, we could always talk about the profit. We could always talk about
mm,
all of that stuff. But I had Christine Hodge talking
uh-huh.
about culture, and
Nice.
I had Rebecca Dahl on talking about either you jump or you swim, right?
Uh-huh.
Now we're talking about this. It still has to do with business, but
Right.
it's the small things, the small rocks that matter because
Right.
the big rocks, we always will figure that out.
Right.
The little things that trickle that we don't think about that have a massive impact.
Yeah, and it's like not only does this impact your bottom line from being able to reach your customers, but and I don't want to jump the gun or put too much fear out there, but bottom line is if we don't start abiding by these regulations,
Mhm.
you're not only missing sales, but you're putting it yourself at risk of higher fines and potentially lawsuits.
Oh
I
wow!
don't want to touch on that too much right now,
But
right? But
you
it's coming
say
down.
responsibilities. There's
Yeah.
responsibilities.
Yes, I've seen I so let's jump back to your do not call kind of thing first, okay? So, you wanna make sure you have what's called express written consent, right? So, when you look up these things on DNC.com, TCPA, the whole goal of all these regulations is for business owners to, 1, prove that they're legitimate business owners and
Okay.
prove that you have permission to contact your c the consumers, and then number 3, are you clearly communicating how you're going to contact them, what method you're going to contact them, and the
Mhm.
frequency that you're going to contact them? They want to know that, like, as a consumer, they need to know this before they fill out your web form, right?
Yeah, for
And it's
sure.
not just about your website either. If you are collecting leads over the phone,
Hmm.
and like if someone's calling you and you're putting them in your CRM that way,
Yeah.
technically you want to record those calls because you want to ask them, hey, is it okay that I send you this? You have to get a verbal consent, right?
Love
And
that.
if something happens on the back end,
Yeah.
you wanna have those recordings because if something happens, and let's say you do get fined, or if there is someone out there that says, "Oh, I wanna sue you because you contacted me, you broke these laws,"
Never know. You
you
never
ha
know.
legally, we need to log 4 years worth. 4
Oh
years worth.
wow.
Yes, they can go back 4 years. So what'll happen is I don't want okay, let me rephrase hold on. I forgot I gotta put my disclaimer. You got me going now. I gotta say my disclaimer now. I am not an attorney. I am not an attorney. I am just a nerd.
Be a
I'm giving
nerd.
I'm
Be a
trying
nerd.
to
Own
generate
it.
awareness. Anything that comes out of my mouth is not official legal jargon or recommendations. Please, if you have any questions or concerns, contact the TCPA attorney in your state. There we go.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Now, now I can say what I'm saying.
I love that. I love that.
Okay. So there are things the things that I'm bringing awareness to now is it's mostly I wanted to keep it because these deadlines are in place right now. Text
Mhm.
message deliverability is what is affected right now. Like
Okay.
that will bring a business to its knees, right? But the
Mhm.
reality is there are a lot of a lot, right?
Enough.
There's
Enough.
stuff coming down the line that we need to cover our hiney. And
Mhm.
the reason why I'm so passionate about this, and I think you maybe saw one of my videos where I kind of was breaking down because I'm like, I'm trying to generate awareness about this because this will kill someone's business.
For
It'll
sure.
kill your business if you don't have this stuff going and taking it like popping up as spam is just one component of it. But the
Mhm.
reality is there are algorithms working in behind the scenes. If you
Yeah.
continually get marked as spam, guess what? People have access to that. Guess what? There's attorneys out there. There's people out there that will intentionally wait for business owners to break these violations and bring a lawsuit against you. Like I've seen solar companies, right? Like I haven't seen many lawsuits about direct like what we do, like window cleaning, exterior
Yeah.
cleaning
Yeah.
in regards to this, but like roofing companies, solar company, you better believe they're getting targeted already. And
Yeah.
so, you know, you got kind of 2 ends that you gotta look out for, right?
Mhm.
One end, you gotta look out because you gotta prove you're not a spammer. But
Mhm.
on the other end, you have to, look out for those people that are just looking to make an easy dollar because, "Oh, I know these regulations and most business owners don't.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go make an extra 20 grand this year by doing lawsuits and trying to settling out of court." You
That's
know,
insane.
And so it's actually happening. It doesn't happen much in this industry, but in the insurance industry, all these other industries that do heavy cold calling and things like that, it's happening where they will, some people will purposely opt in and request information, and
Yeah.
they will wait because they know that you only have 90 days, 30 days, or 90 days if they don't become a customer. And so they'll wait, and they will wait for you to repeatedly break these regulations and then send a demand letter and say, hey, you've broken this 5 times and it's 500 to $1,500 per per occurrence, and I got you down for 10
Yeah.
times, but I'll settle out of court for 2,000, right? Like,
Wild.
and then you've got the legitimate consumers that want to hear from you.
Yeah.
So so the biggest thing that I just want to bring awareness to is, guys, like, it's using the phones are no longer like the wild wild west. We can't just do what we want to do. Voice drops as well, right? Those people doing voicemail bombs, they're awesome. They're awesome to use, but use them with caution now, right?
Exactly.
Make sure that your customers know that you're documenting some kind of way that the customers, excuse me, they agree and approve of sometimes sending recorded messages, right? Um, there's a lot of little intricate details behind it, and I in the future I plan on bringing awareness to this. Right now, I'm focusing on what is the pain point. I literally was in someone's Twilio account looking at their text message delivery, and
Yeah.
50% of their text messages were blocked because they didn't register, right? And
Crazy.
you will, yeah, and a lot of times you won't even know it. You just you like your customers will be like, "Oh, I didn't know, I didn't get the text message." And
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
this is it's not going away. You know how some people said the big C, COVID, they're
Mhm.
like, "It's here, it's not going away."
Yeah.
I feel like this is what this is too. Like, for
Yeah.
business owners, like, it's like, "Hey, I wanna start a business." Go get business insurance and all these things, and go get a Google My Business or Google Places,
Mhm.
right? Now it's gonna be, "Okay, monitor your phone register and monitor your phone numbers now." Like,
For
that
sure.
is it's here. It's here. And
It's gonna trickle down to us eventually,
yeah,
It's
it already has, right?
yeah, and the thing is like it's almost like the tow truck waiting on the side of the highway. It's
Mhm.
about to happen.
Yeah.
Let's just get ready. And I like you are the only one that I feel has spread this awareness,
Oh, I
and
appreciate
I
it.
love because like all of this I didn't know. I'm
Mhm.
thinking I just send out a
Mhm.
mass text,
Mhm.
do a drip campaign and I'm good. And then I was getting, oh, I never received that. And I'm thinking,
Mm.
and I'm going back in my CRM and it's like, oh yeah, it was sent,
Mhm.
but not knowing, oh no, you gotta register, or oh, let's check how many were like what
Mhm.
connect with customers. And I just love it. I mean,
Yeah.
I can't wait to see where you're going next and what else you bring to the table.
Oh, man, I appreciate it, I appreciate it. It's actually it's strangely become a passion because, like, I'm grateful, and I don't take this lightly. Like, I
Oh,
don't
for
take the
sure.
message that I feel like is almost a blessing because
Yep.
I love marketing and I love automation. I love all these things, but I never really felt like I found my place,
Yeah.
right? Where And so I've put things out and I share things. Hey, this marketing campaign worked for us. Go try. I've
Yep.
done that through the years, but I never really found my voice.
You
And
found it.
I
You found
feel,
this is it. I'm going to tell you now. And before we hopped on the call, you said about the light.
yeah, yeah.
I felt like I was in your boat too. I was like,
Mm,
I like to do systems. I got the business, but I really kind of have to find like where do I fit?
yes,
And
yes,
I now am an accountability advisor with Concord, and I'm
nice.
helping other business owners create systems and get to the next level. And I said to myself, when I get this job, I'm gonna buy this neon light. And that was like my gift to myself. And so
Yeah.
I bought this neon light to the T, came out of COVID. I didn't know what direction it was going to go into, but I'm an
Mm.
electrician by trade, and I knew I would figure it out. Um,
Ah,
and then, like, sometimes it just falls into your lap and you just run with it and you find your new
yeah.
passion.
Y
So,
y and you know what's crazy? And I know we're kinda switching gears. Isn't it crazy how I don't know if it's like this for you, but this whole A2P stuff, like, it stressed me out and my
Yep.
eyebrow twitched, and it was nerve-wracking, and I actually hated it at first. I was like, "This is stupid." Like, I'm not a spammer. What do I don't have to worry about it, right? But my husband and I promised ourselves, like, change and opportunity always happens out of discomfort.
Exactly.
And we promised ourselves, I wanna take this time to thank my husband for being supportive and thank all the women in the community that
For
actually
sure.
helped, help me start generate get the momentum going. I
Yeah.
wouldn't be here without I'm gonna try not to get teary-eyed, but I wouldn't be here a lot with, those few people that actually saw and believed. Whew,
It's a thing though, and
I'm sorry.
somebody has to bring awareness. And that's what I want to do with this podcast because I
Yeah.
do feel like women, like a lot of us women are behind our men and we're not shining. And we have a lot to say and we need to shine. And I want people like you to be on here shining, spreading the word and showing us your passion because you love it and you're just so like just you talking about it like I'm all in it like I'm like, oh what else
Right?
I have some more time like
No, that's awesome. Like, I feel like and that's the thing, this has been the scariest now to put the text messaging stuff aside, this has been
yeah
the scariest, most nerve-wracking thing I've ever done in my life, and I've given birth to 4 children all natural. Like, this has been the scariest, like
but that means you're growing if you're
yeah,
comfortable you're not growing and
yeah.
that's when you know this is right because it don't feel right
It
it's
don't feel right, right? And that's why I think that's why I wanted to connect with you too, because I think Melody started like a challenger, like a video challenge. And
yeah
I was like, we were like rooting for each other. And
yeah
it
for
is the
sure
most uncomfortable thing. But then it comes a point where the cause is more important than your comfort.
exactly
And
exactly
and so I applaud you for what you're doing too. It's
oh, thank
awesome.
you
I applaud all the women in the industry because over the last year, I can see a big shift of like, "Okay, boys, y'all have done an awesome job,
yep
but
but
it's
here
our
we
turn now." Like like we
Yeah,
it's been awesome. It is so freaking cool. Like
I love it. And having people like you, because I would have never thought of this, like I said.
mm,
And, for you to spread the word, I'm like, we need, and we kept, disconnecting. We kept trying to connect, but I'm glad we're here. And,
yes.
we're almost at the end. But
Mm,
what I want you to do is, can you
mhm,
share a nugget, one thing that, you want to spread to other
mm.
people that are watching this podcast? That one word or something you can share a great nugget for everybody
This has nothing to do with what I was talking about
it doesn't matter
here, but there was so last night I had stayed up really late and I had to crash really early last night and I my brain wouldn't shut down and I was in this dark sometimes I'll just go in a dark silent room and this epiphany hit me and I was like if you have thoughts that keep you up at night I should have wrote it down. I was like if you have thoughts that keep you up at night
yeah
that means they need to be heard and listened to and taken action on.
Ooh, I love
And that's the biggest nugget is
I'll
because
take it
we have all these things that keep us up at night that are on our mind,
hmm
and it's almost like just one at a time. We have to let those voices tell us what the true concern is.
yeah
Like,
I love it
find that true concern, listen to that true concern. Your body's telling you something. Dig deeper. What is the root of it? And then just take those things one at a time. And whatever you can't control, if you're a person of faith, give it to it ain't on you. You know what I mean? Like I'm a person of faith. Whatever I can't control, I give it to my to so you can only do so much, but don't you
Yep.
have to address it at the same time. You got to address it. You got to address those tiny voices in your head or else it would drive you crazy. So
Awesome. I love it. What a great way to end. I want to thank you, Amber, so much for taking the time to spend with me today. Anything you want to plug, anywhere you're going to be soon that people can watch?
uh yeah, so I don't really have opportunities to go. I know the huge convention is coming up.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be there, but you guys can always catch me at in my Facebook group. We got a Facebook group. I forgot what it's called. Protect My Phone Rep. Or
Ooh,
you can. or you can go to my website, protectmyphonerep.com. I'm building out a lot of resources to help educate people. This isn't just about me trying to build a business. This is about me trying to spread awareness.
Awareness.
So
Exactly.
I'll plug in as many resources as I can. I'm creating this cool like automated bot so where you can ask any questions related to this. I'm essentially trying to put my brain
Into the computer.
into the computer. Yes. So because we can only do so much. But yes, if anyone wants to connect with me, protectmyphonerep.com.
I love it.
And I'll it's all about just generating awareness. So if anyone else out there has an audience, I know we're running over time. If anyone
No,
else out there has an audience, even if you don't, if you want me to come on your Facebook and just do anything like this and let's just have a conversation, anything to help generate awareness, because this really is affecting businesses already and it's going to get worse. And
for
so
sure. For
thank
sure.
you for your time. Thank you for what you do with
No,
To the
thank you.
T.
Yeah. And I
That's
believe
awesome.
in abundance, like this is about sharing and
Yes.
helping each other, you could take that information that you have and keep it for yourself, but you're spreading the word, and that's what I love. And that's why I like being an accountability advisor. It's about abundance, is sharing
Mhm.
what I know so other people can grow. And
Yes.
that's what it's all about.
Yes.
Why are we here? To share and to grow. So thank you again, Amber. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in for To the T. And we will see you next Sunday.
All
Bye.
righty. Bye-bye.